Today I want to talk to you all about a topic that holds a really dear place in my heart, and that's being cringe. I feel like a lot of us, we think of it as this systemic reaction. It's like vomit everywhere. But I want to really challenge that tonight, and I want to hopefully encourage you all to be a little bit more cringe. Now, for those of you who don't know what cringe is, Google defines it as something painfully awkward, embarrassing or uncool, often causing secondhand embarrassment. I define it as being misunderstood on a journey of growth. Now, hands up, who here has experienced being cringe? A lot of us, right? Now keep your hand up if that same feeling has ever stopped you from doing something. Like many of you, I've had that exact same experience, but my most memorable was back in 2019, 2020. And this is when TikTok really started to blow off. And up to this point in my life, I was pretty normal in terms of being an Asian kid. Like, I learnt piano, I loved LeBron James, and loved basketball. But I realized up until year 10, I probably wasn't gonna make it, I was too short. And then I pursued my family's dream of studying medicine. But up until that point, I never really stood outside my comfort zone. So the prospect of posting on TikTok was exciting. So what do? One night, I popped down my phone in my bedroom and I recorded a singing video, Best Part by Daniel Caesar. And I remember this feeling of excitement, joy, like I was learning something about myself that I never had before. And this was really, really exhilarating. But what came after was not so good. I like to call this the pre-cringe phase. And I started to hear things like, "Oh, Peter, I don't think we're ready. Peter, I think we just need a little bit more time. How about we just make it better first?" And what I realize now, that I didn't realize at the time, was our brain has this incredibly fascinating ability to rationalize emotional fear with logical language. So when I said, I just want to make it better first, what I really meant was, I'm scared people will judge me. When I said I'm not ready yet, what I really meant was, I don't really want to embarrass myself. And when I said it's not the right time, what I really meant was, I don't want to fail publicly. But I didn't know this at the time, so what do? I post that video. There it is. And that single video got 600 views. It flopped. Over the span of 6-7 days, all it got was 600 views. And I remember feeling so incredibly embarrassed, like the whole world was watching me fail. And that's the weird thing about embarrassment. It creates an audience. You don't actually need one physically. And I believe that this has everything to do with perception. You see, I think that we live in a world where we're obsessed with this idea and value perception so much. We don't just live anymore, we observe ourselves living. We're so hyper aware of everything that is happening around us. So we ask ourselves this question: how will this look? Not, is this meaningful? How will this look? Not, is this something that I love? Is this something that I want to do? Is this something that brings me happiness? We ask, how will this look? And I think this is so incredibly scary, because not only does it make approval feel like safety, it shifts approval to others and not ourselves. So if we rewind back, a couple months have passed since I posted my best part, and I start to hear things from my friends and family saying things like, "Peter, why don't you just focus on getting into med school first before posting on social media? Peter, that was like really cringe. What are you doing? Peter, that's really embarrassing." And this really hurt, because on one hand, I found so much joy in sharing a private part of my life, something that I didn't really share before on social media. But on the other hand, I was told that that was too much, that was too cringe. So what do? I post another video, and another one, and another one, because I realized that I'm placing too much weight on the opinion and views of others. I only have one life, so I should live it the way that I want to live it, not through the cage or the perspective of everyone else's views. Now, there's a really good illusion that I want you all to look at, and I want you to pay close attention to the two orange circles. Now, if you look long enough, the right circle looks bigger than the left. That is what your brain is telling you. But if we remove this, shabam. They are exactly the same size. Now you're probably wondering, all right, Peter, what does a bunch of circles have to do with being cringe? Let me cook. It has two big lessons. The first lesson it tells you is that your brain is really good at gaslighting. Like a toxic ex, it loves to lie to you all the time. And it does this when you're doing or trying to do something new, trying to be cringe. It tells you that you're bigger than yourself, that whatever you're doing, it's not safe. But in actual reality, nothing has changed. Context has. The second lesson that this illusion teaches us is that being cringe is rarely about the action itself. It's about the environment. You see, if you dream in a room full of people who never dare to speak or step outside of their circle, your ambition will be labelled as arrogant. And if you speak honestly in a room full of people who never speak up, your honesty and vulnerability will be labelled as dramatic. So, now that we know that being cringe is rarely about the action itself, it's about the environment around us, it's about the things our brain tells us, the lies, and how we value perception so much, why are we still scared of being cringe? It all has to do with visibility. We're scared of being cringe, not because we're scared to fail, but we're scared to be seen failing. So what do? We categorize failure, embarrassment, and cringe all together. But more often than not, the thing that we call embarrassing, the thing that we call cringe, and the thing that we call failure, that is just growth in its most purest, most honest, and earliest form. Because growth is not supposed to look impressive. It's supposed to look like you looking like a beginner. It's supposed to look like you being lost, not knowing what to do. And the moment we stop valuing how we look and valuing what we want, that is the moment that we allow ourselves to grow. I want to draw your attention to a study that was done in 1998, looking at two groups of children who were both told to do hard puzzles. But before that, Group A was told that they were smart, praised for them being smart, whereas Group B, they were praised for their efforts. So when it came time to do these puzzles, what do you think happened? Well, you would think that Group A, because they were praised for being smart, would attempt those puzzles, but it's quite the opposite. They were scared to do those puzzles. Why? Well, it's because their identity was fixated on this illusion, this perception that they were already smart. So in order to protect their identity, they didn't do those hard puzzles. Whereas Group B, they loved doing it. They loved the process. Now, what does this reveal? This is what being cringe reveals to us. Often when we are scared to do something that feels cringe, scared to step out of our comfort zone, we're not protecting our dream, we're protecting our identity. So, what can we do? If only there was a solution to this endemic. There is. It's called the Cringe Compass. And it revolves around three really important questions. The first one being, what am I calling cringe? Is it because it's actually embarrassing? And am I calling it cringe because it reveals something that I care about? Who taught me that this version of me was too cringe? And most importantly, what would I do if I was willing to be misunderstood for a season? Now, I think that last question is so powerful because a lot of the time we don't need a new strategy. What we need is permission to be misunderstood for a season. Because I truly believe that there is a version of us beyond where we are today that exists, but that version of us only exists if we stop negotiating with the people who don't understand the journey that we're on, who don't understand that we're trying to grow. So, choose to be misunderstood. Because sometimes these are going to be your family members, they're going to be your loved ones, they're going to be your friends and colleagues, and they'll call whatever you're doing cringe. But cringe always is what they call and they don't understand what we're trying to do. You see, I think my family members and my friends and my colleagues, they labeled what I was doing as cringe because they weren't accepting what I was trying to become. They were protecting who they remember, protecting my past identity. So, I want you all to, let's go back a slide, sorry. My invitation for you tonight is to do one thing that feels slightly cringe, moving forward, over the past however many days. I want that to be honest, I want that to be brave, and I want that to be you. Now I want you to think about the question that I asked at the beginning. When has that feeling, being cringe, ever stopped you from doing something? Now I want to ask an even more important question. What version of you is waiting on the other side of that feeling? Tonight's theme is in our hands, and I want you all to remember that every time we shy away from doing something that feels slightly cringe, we are quietly putting our lives into someone else's. So, be brave, be honest, be courageous, be you, and be cringe. And thank you for listening to my TED Talk.